Alrighty, folks, we are doing more truck stuff. We're kind of hitting the home stretch. We're not exactly sure where we're all going here. I spent last night, I didn't actually film much of anything. I looked at the motor and I cranked the motor over. I was checking because what I thought was a flat valve is like it was actually going up and down fine. So it was like, oh, it was like it's out of adjustment. So I readjusted it. The valve on the one side went through, adjusted all the valves, but it's still clacking away. So I'm just wondering if the lifter's all collapsed or something like that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. So I'm gonna leave it to my buddy to go have a look at it, and either we'll pull it. I don't know if he's gonna keep that motor, maybe just go through it. I don't know, maybe throw some new lifters. I don't know what the plan is. That, or they're gonna LS it. I don't know what the deal is. That might happen here, that might not. I don't know. We are looking at the idea with the fuel tank, like because we moved the whole frame, everything over here, we don't have any room for nothing. So the plan is to get a little saddle tank to go into the back for our limited space. But I kind of don't want it to go under the running board, because then if like he plans to put an 8-foot box like we had. So if the box comes here, I'd like to keep the tank up, which is going to be kind of slim and small. Found some on Amazon, but they're only like 15 gallons. So I don't know what the plan is yet, if we're going to do that or not, or we're just going to drop his original tank in the bed for now, and it is what it is. I don't know. Anyways, today's plan is going to be pulling these brake lines off. I want to move that line to this side because it just makes running our brake lines easier. And I'm just going to put some new lines in there. May as well just make it all new. Everything else is new lines on this truck at this point. So we'll do that. We got to fancy up the lines, get our shocks on the back, and then up in the front, we're going to end up doing that booster. I got my master cylinder, so it fits on here. It's the Corvette style. You got to find the right Corvette style, because some of them have the bigger, deeper slug in here versus the smaller nub. This particular vacuum booster has the longer rod on it, and then you can actually adjust the pedal or whatever you want to do, like the dead pedal part. You can adjust it. So we'll have to tweak that, but that goes on there. That is good. What we got to do is, from where this thing sits, you can see the angle of the dangle is not right. So I'm going to cut another plate. Hopefully that's the idea. I'm going to cut a plate or 2 brackets that I'm going to bend that will line up with the holes on here. Well, this one I got to put another one, but it's going to bolt onto there, and then we're going to have to just modify the pedal, the rod, to become this length and that end on it, because that just works. So from the old to the new, when we line them up after this thing hits the firewall, we have to get this thing into the zone, which is pretty simple, I think. Anyways, we're gonna go get started here. Well, I didn't get too much done tonight. I was, a lot of the day was helping Austin working on his Buick over there, making some patch panels and stuff. But I did manage to cut and make some brackets, and we got the, what do you call it? Booster. It's mounted. I got to do a couple more bolts on the inside, but this part's good. So we're to the stage now. I'm just going to have to, tomorrow I am going to bench bleed the master cylinder. And well, I'll probably do the rear brake lines first, get all that made up. Then we'll bench bleed the master cylinder, make the lines for the master. Got to make 2 lines in there. And then, well, bleed the brakes. Not too bad, eh? We did get the universal joint for the steering. That came in. So that is next on the slate of things to do here. You can see, well, we have it on. It's not like on, but we're kind of looking. I think we're going to be able to jimmy this over. I'm going to try to just jimmy this and see if the steering feels weird. Because I did get a second joint if we had to, and then we'll make a bunch of junk. But if I don't have to, that would be great. So if we basically just shimmy this thing over and see how the steering wheel feels. I kind of see that it moves, so I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. That's a tough one there to see whether till you're sitting in there. But I got to get that mounted, so I'm going to make something quick and temporary just to see if the wheel doesn't bother me. Then cool. If not, then we're going to have to make a lot of stuff. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it'll work the first way. Anyways, I think that's about all I'm doing tonight. So tomorrow we are attacking the brakes and hopefully get some brake pressure for the end of the day there. All right. Well, it's been a while. We haven't actually messed with this. Well, for you, it hasn't been nothing. Been spending a few days. I've been trying to dig up my pond, get that figured out. I'm trying to work on a liner. If you look behind, you'll actually see this has gone through a bunch of buddies. Well, I went through, a buddy wanted it. We traded it back. I got through a motor in it, got it running. And that was about the extent of it. I think I did brakes and stuff on this thing. I have another friend who actually is looking for an old project. So we're kind of made a deal, and well, he's going to do a bit of work on it. So we're basically going to throw a wiring harness in this thing because it needs that. I'm going to check my battery pack. So yeah, the wiring's a complete mess. And the fuel tank, well, I never did try the fuel tank. I'll probably pull it out, have a look, see how good that is. Kind of go through everything, like what to figure out some signals. We got to change the lights. Yeah, fuel tank may be good. I don't know. I never put any effort into trying it. But basically just do the basic little bits so we can kind of just tool it down the road for now, and then, well, slowly work on it. Basically try to turn it into a driving project. Overall, the truck's pretty solid. It needs a new shifter. Like I said, needs a wiring. We don't know if we're going to use those gauges. I do have a motor that might have all the sending units on it. That might work, but like, you know, the speedo doesn't even register at 0. So there's a good cause. Maybe he's going to go aftermarket gauges. We'll see how that goes. We might cut a panel, and that way you can kind of just stick all individual gauges in kind of easy. Yeah, I don't know. It's not much to say. It's like a super solid truck. Well, you know, minus the couple little problems that it has, but overall it's a Merc, and it's pretty solid for up here anyways. This thing may look rough to some of you folks, but they don't come much nicer than that, really. Anyways, we'll see. I mean, it's electrical, so it's not going to be that exciting. So we already had I had a random harness here, so we kind of slung it out already. So I think he's going to, I don't really know what he's going to do tonight. We'll find out. Anyways, I'm going to start getting onto the brakes like I said I was going to do. We did order a fuel tank, so we're hoping in the next few days that'll be in. So technically, it'll be a runner minus a good motor. That's kind of where it's at. Anyways, let's get started here. right now, I drained the coolant out of it. I'm draining the oil. I'm gonna try to give it a fresh coat of oil or a fresh like oil change. See if I have I'm just wondering if it's the lifters are like, I don't know, not pumping up or something. Who knows? Maybe the oil's thin. I don't know. Feel like it doesn't hurt to do that. So basically I'm doing that. I'm dumping the oil so it can't mix. And well, it's gonna have to get dumped one more time, but just wondering if some fresh oil in there is gonna help the cause. We got everything brake related is all in, but not bled yet. But the master's in, the booster, all the lines, did the rear shocks. Those are in. I don't know if it makes a difference because sometimes they have them, they go one way and the other. I don't know that matters. I don't know. I kind of mounted them both one way. I mean, it's a shock, should work regardless. We have to make some clamps or some ties for things, like maybe just zip tie it, but we don't have any of the clippy bits for stuff. But everything's in. Yeah, we're pretty close. Again, I'm just waiting for that oil to drain. And then we're gonna go over here and we'll start working on the steering. I think the plan here is just gonna be really simple. I'm gonna cut the shaft here. I'm hoping a 3/4 inch shaft can go in, to which then we can bring it back to this joint. And we're just gonna kick it up and attach them and just see how that feels. I think it's gonna be fine. Cause it's not crazy. Like I think it was sitting about there, so we only got to go up a little bit more, so it won't be a big deal. I'm gonna have to find some lines. We have to punch those over, and then, well, depending what goes on with the motor here, we're gonna have to, well, we'll have to change the pulleys and stuff because these are all some weird serpentine, and if we put I don't know if they'd be the same. I wonder if they're the same as this stuff. If I did put this on, it would, oh, mind you, if that's a serpentine, but you can't adjust it. That's the problem. It has to have this tensioner. We're just thinking out loud here. We could bolt that on and maybe that lines up with something, but I don't know if it would line up with anything because there is a second one on here, but there would be no way to tension that thing. We'll figure it out after. Not a big deal. Anyways, waiting for that. I don't have an oil filter, so I'm not going to be able to play with that at all. So we'll be able to maybe put some oil in it, but that's about it. What else we got? On this front, what did we all do? I didn't do a lot. I basically just watched somebody else work, but the wire's all strung out. We got the key. What do we got? The key is in. Light switch is wired. Key, fuse box is mounted. So this is boogieing along pretty good. I think tonight we'll actually be able to fire it up with the key, with the new wiring harness. It'd be nice. Looks like a spaghetti mess, but it's not too bad. Everything has its place. This goes to the back. These are all the headlighty stuff. This is basically your motor, starter, wire, all that jazz. No biggie. We pulled the fuel tank out. It is a no bueno. I thought I had another one. That is a no bueno. But we looked it up on Rock Auto, and I think it's just over 200 bucks for the tank. So we're just gonna get a new tank and a new sending unit, and then it's just done. You never have to worry about it. So yeah, that thing is getting there. We are getting there. Anyways, I'm gonna watch my oil keep draining here, and then see if I can find a filter. For some reason, I thought I had a bunch of small block oil filters. And then, well, at least we can fill it up. See if the noise goes away. Maybe put a little Lucas in it. I don't know. Maybe some, maybe that would do. See if that does anything. Throw a little Marvel mystery oil in there because we got to flush it again anyways. So, all right. Well, continue on our way here. Last night I spent the whole evening machining this little adapter here. So basically what we did is we went down to 3/4 inch. The shaft in this tube is 7/8. I don't have anything for that. So I took a slug of steel, we kind of made a slug, we bolted it to the column, and then this goes into the weld-on joint down here. So it's not actually welded together or anything, but we had to give it a decent tug, and I didn't think it would be too bad, but in the end, yeah, it's pretty crappy. So what happened is it had the steering column to go up, so it actually pushed the steering wheel down, and it is over, which, you know, I'm not too happy, but it's just too far down. So unfortunately, it looks like I'm gonna have to get in here and, well, I guess the plan is I'm gonna have to make some kind of a pillow bearing or something. I'm thinking I want to do it on the firewall, make a plate. Like, this got this rubber boot, but I think if I make something that slips over this tube, we could bolt it to the firewall, and then we can cut this back somewhere, move this bearing back up, and then we can repurpose this thing that I made, so at least that's not gone to waste, and put a joint in here just to get the steering wheel straight and at the right angle that it's supposed to be. But yeah, we just got a whole lot more work to do, that's all. So close, but no cigar. So this shouldn't be too bad to do. Well, all I'm going to do is loosen up the steering column so we can basically, I don't want to mess with the wiring, but if we loosen the column, we'll be able to pull the column back, get that disconnected, be able to cut the tube around. Cut the tube around somewhere. Doesn't really matter where. Well, I don't want it too far from here, but we'll cut the tube somewhere there. That way we can do this and then put another wobble joint up here. And then this thing will be supported on the firewall. Right now it's only on the steering column is where, or sorry, on the dash is where it's supported, and then it went and straight bolted down here, so there's no support. It wiggles around and stuff, but you can see this thing's, by the time I'm over here, it should be over like 2 inches, which in the cab makes the wheel from flat to kind of tilts it over this way, so not ideal. Anyways, that's not too big of a deal, but so over on this front, I know my buddy's did a bunch of stuff. We got the wiring. I think we did that before. He had the key. He's got the lights in. This time around, he actually has the lights all wired. Other than, we got to do the signals, but the headlights are in. The tail lights are in. He kind of loomed up all the wiring and stuff, so that's all. Like, he's getting all of this all cleaned up. Still got to do that part. We temporarily just wired it so we could fire it on the key, which it does. We don't have a fuel tank, but we got the little Jerry, and realized that the fuel pump is working, so that's good. So it's pumping, it runs, it idles, it does all that jazz. He swapped tires out, so now it's got some good tires on it. Anyways, the big thing is that it's actually got tires, it's mobile, so now I can at least move it out in. So I don't think he'll be by for another week or so, which is no big deal. But at least it'll drive out of the garage. That's the nice part now. So today's plan, I think, I'm not gonna worry about the steering right now, but I had to get the fuel tank because we've ordered the one, so I'm waiting for that to come in. And I gotta get an oil filter for the motor because I wanna just maybe throw some oil with some additive and just see if anything is better inside of there or not. But yeah, it's kind of the update. Still been digging around, farting around outside, so this one's taken me a little while to kind of jet through here, but we'll get it. We'll get her yet. We got our fuel tank. I basically was just taking it apart here to see what was what, as it wasn't labeled. So I know this is the pickup, the return, and there's a vent, and it's got like a check valve in there, so if it dumps over, whatever. Also learning as I take all the screws out, all the junk falls in. So I basically I wanted to see what was what, and I wanted to take the sending unit and just hook it up to the truck and see if it works. And surprisingly, it seems pretty good. Other than, I think empty is just under a quarter tank, but that's whatever. If a guy knows that, it's not the end of the world. Everything works up into between there, so that's not a biggie. So we got all of these. What I'm gonna do is, well, the vent will leave. I'm gonna plug this one, but I think in the big picture, maybe there'll be a slip tank in the box, and at least it can kind of run from the one tank into this tank. And then this thing here, I don't have any of these particular fittings, so what I'm basically gonna do is we're just gonna tap it for a regular fitting. So just drill and tap that bad boy. We'll stick that in, then we can do our pickup. These are not very available around here. I might check, but it is like a 3/8 or something. I don't think I have anything of that variety around here. Maybe I do, but I'll check on that after. Well, I guess that's about it. The next plan is going to be to, on the frame, I just got to cut this bracket off so the tank can kind of sit against the frame. And I think we can just repurpose wherever they are. The original tank straps we had over there. I think we can repurpose those to, because it's going to sit, I think these will work. We'll find out. Should be able to, because the tank's not as big, so if we kind of bob this and then stick it up to the frame, we should be okay. Can't quite tuck it as far forward as I want it, but that's okay. It'll kind of sit back a little bit, but that's not the end of the world. That'll get the filler into the range of the box somewhere where we can actually add a filler neck there at some point. in the making of that box, I kind of forgot I had the iron worker to use to snap off some of that angle and stuff. Originally I was going to use the other straps, and it just turned into more work than it was just to make new hangers for the tank. So basically we just cut a bunch of angle. It holds 4 cornered. We just rubber isolated it. So it's sitting in there. It's mounted. I got to still do something about the vent part, but this thing may sit in the box. It's kind of hit and miss because it could work as a slip tank if he really wants a bigger tank, because then we'll just figure some way to tie those two in. I have to imagine this floor would be 4 inches higher, so this thing's not really gonna take up a lot of bed space in the end, because you got 4 inches and then you got the floor. So this thing's probably, when it's all said and done, probably only that much of it's gonna poke out of the floor. So a guy, if they wanted to, could use this thing, but I don't know. It's a nice tank otherwise. But we got that in. Like I say, the fuel gauge works. Happy about that. We're almost there. I still got to bleed the brakes. I still got to come up with something for that front steering, figure that out, waiting for some stuff to come that we can make that thing all up. Have to get some material. Maybe, I never got a filter, so I'm hoping that maybe a filter, oil additive, maybe the motor, maybe the lifters pump up. I don't know. We'll see. No guarantees, but it'd be nice to know that the motor's like, whatever, not bad, and it just needs to get some, like a simple head gasket job. Yeah, we're almost there. The power steering stuff, that'll need to get figured out. I don't know whether we're gonna go this route and use all this stuff or not, but I don't know. Yeah, have to get the power brakes hooked up, so we need a fitting for the back of the carburetor for that, and the firewall fitting. Yeah, almost there. Almost. Be nice that I could just like drive out of the shop on its own. Would be kind of cool. And then we get to move on to the Studebaker, so that'd be awesome. I think at some point here, you've probably seen Austin's car's in there, so he gets a little more floor work done. I think he's coming this weekend. He's going to do some more, so that'll be awesome. Be a couple steps closer to getting this car on the road kind of thing. Anyways, I think that is where we are going to leave this one. So, as always, folks, I want to thank you all for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Later.